In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 shots that you're going to need to add to your game so that you don't get left behind. Each and every one of these shots will apply more pressure to your game and will win you more points guaranteed.
All right, so the first shot that you're gonna need to learn before entering 2026 is the backhand flick. All right, so when we are trying to create pressure at the kitchen line, learning how to take balls out of the air is one thing. Learning how to attack those is a whole nother thing, all right? If all we do is dink the ball out of the air and we don't know how to attack, it doesn't put as much pressure as I would like to on my opponents. Now, at the pro level, you're seeing the flick become very common. If the ball is around net level or just below or just above, we're gonna look to flick that ball using our wrist. And it's more of like throwing a frisbee type motion than anything. When the ball gets a little bit lower to the net, maybe down here by my knees, I'm gonna have to add a little bit more of a rolling motion from a low to high position using my shoulder. Okay, so now let's get into technique and how to execute the flick, all right? So first of all, I'm looking to move my opponent around with aggressive topspin dinks to apply pressure. Now, after every dink of mine, I'm always going to be looking for that ball out of the air. If I realize I can't, then I adjust, create space, and let it bounce. When we're going to execute the flick, I wanna make sure that I have a wide base with my feet. So my feet are around shoulder width apart. I like to be even a little bit wider just to maintain that balanced position. My paddle head is going to drop down a little bit, okay? From this position, I'm reaching out in front, contacting in front of my body. From there, I am snapping forward and through. Okay, again, most of this is with the wrist or the forearm a little bit, but I'm making sure I'm throwing that frisbee and snapping the ball into the court.
All right, the second shot that you must add to your game before 2026 or you will be left behind is the two-handed backhand topspin dink. Now, it's not a coincidence that every single pro player has added this to their game, and the reason is it's the most aggressive dink that you can hit, especially when you're on this left side. So this shot is not only consistent and actually gives you margin over the net, but it also applies pressure at your opponent's feet and or can pull them off the court out wide. The first thing I want to talk about is the grip. I'm in a continental grip. This is the grip that I like to use on my right hand, and then I put my left hand on top just like this. You will see some pro players with 2 fingers up, 1 finger up, or some just grabbing the top of their grip just like this. Either way is totally fine. Now that we're in the right grip, let's get to the setups. The important thing here is that I want to get really low and I want to get my wrist below the ball. So if the apex of the bounce was right here, I really want to make sure my wrists are below that height. This is really important because I need to be brushing up towards my right shoulder to create that topspin on that ball. As for getting to the ball, I just quickly want to go over the footwork. I'm going to be in a fairly wide stance. And from this position, I'm going to be using that shuffle step or that angled shuffle step to get into a good low position to get my wrist below the ball. And one thing you will notice from here, I will be in a very, very low stance with my knees, and my paddle will be more in a neutral position. So it's not facing down like this and it's not super upward. I just really want my wrist in a relaxed position. From here, I'm going to be coming straight up on the ball and I'm swinging up towards my right shoulder. The really important thing to know and to get comfortable with here, because I'm going more cross court, is to really catch more the outside of the ball. So if I'm on the left, I'm really catching the outside left of the ball so that I can brush up and get that ball with topspin and pace cross court. The other thing that I want to mention is the recovery on the shot. The shot is really aggressive and it's a setup shot. So after you hit this, you really want to make sure that you're coming back to that non-volley zone line so that you can look to attack and maybe use the backhand flick like we just talked about. This two-handed topspin dink is only one of the shots that you could hit with 2 hands. We actually created a full video series of all the shots you can utilize with 2 hands. If you would like to check that out, scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.
All right, so the next shot that you are going to need to master going into 2026 is the counter. So at the pro level especially, the game is constantly speeding up and evolving. 5 years ago, there used to be dink rallies all day long, right? Now, people are speeding up off the bounce. attacking from a lot of different positions in the court, which means that we have to get good at countering, because if all we do is reset or block the ball over the net, it allows my opponent to crush the ball again and again. It doesn't give them a reason to stop. So when we're hitting the counter, we want to make sure that our feet again are in this wide base, so I'm not moving too much, okay? Making sure our feet are stable and balanced. I want a slight lean forward, so I am the one attacking the ball. I'm not allowing the ball to be the one attacking me. This allows me to get on top of the ball, because the main goal when I'm hitting the counter is not necessarily to hit the ball 100 miles an hour. My main goal should be to get the ball down if I can. Now, as far as our paddle angle and the positioning of our paddle, if there is an attack that is really low to our body, we're gonna have to get a little bit of loft in that paddle face to get that ball up and over the net. Now, as that attack gets up on us a little bit, we're gonna flatten out our paddle so I can work through the ball with my primary motion with my shoulder. There will be a little bit of forearm extension to get that last snap, but our main swing is still with that shoulder. Now, if there's an attack up higher, maybe around the shoulder level, don't be afraid to gradually bring that top of the paddle up just a little bit so we're able to get on top of it. The tendency is to keep that paddle flat, but as you can see, as I work up higher and higher, I'm not able to get that paddle face down. It gradually works its way up, which is the reason why a lot of those counters with the ball up here sail deep.
All right, so now let's jump into the fourth type of shot that you're going to need to add before you go into 2026. If you don't have it already, this is really important to apply pressure on your dinks, and this is the topspin dink on the forehand side. It's really important that we learn this type of shot so that we can gain advantage right away. With my dinks applying pressure, hitting topspin, I could pull my opponent out and open up the court, or I could put a lot of pressure at their feet to help set me up for more attacking shots. Now let's jump right into the technique and the how-to. And personally, for me, I like to be in that Eastern grip. And what you will see across the board with any pro player, as they set up to hit their topspin dink, their paddle tip will drop down. So I call this the laid back wrist position. And what I usually tell players to get into this position is to just hold their paddle in front of them and relax their fingers and their wrists and just let it drop like this. You'll see the paddle naturally drops in this position. This is the position that you want to get used to. From here, I'm going to be swinging up on the ball. Now, depending if I'm going cross court or if I'm going more down the line, that's just a matter of if I'm getting more outside of the ball, if I'm going cross court. If I'm going straight down the line, I'm getting more behind the ball. But the main thing that you will see in both of those swings is that I'm really swinging very vertically from low to high. So you will see at times some players like to finish over here, kind of using that pronation motion. And you will see some players just go straight up on the ball and maybe end on that same side or right above their forehead. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but the ideal goal here is to really gently brush straight up on the ball vertically so that I can get that topspin consistently. All right, the fifth shot that you're definitely going to want to add to your game as you go into 2026 is the two-handed backhand drive. There's so many players that have a lot of offense on their forehand side, but when it comes to their backhand, it's weaker and they're forced to drop. So if you can add a weapon on your backhand side, this opens up a lot of opportunities, especially if there's holes on the court or if that returner is more in the transition zone. You can catch them in transition with a drive. Now let's get into the key elements of the technique and the setup. The very first thing is I want to be in kind of the same grip as the two-handed backhand dink that we talked about earlier. From here, I really want to make sure that my weight is going forward into the shot and that I'm stepping in. As I step in like this, you're going to see that unit turn. This is probably one of the most important things to set up for the shot, is turning your shoulders and getting that right shoulder kind of leaned in towards your target. From here, now I can use my legs and I can use my hip rotation to really get all that power that I need to hit this two-handed drive. So again, I'm going to be in this position. I'm going to be moving and adjusting my feet so that I can step into my two-handed drive and I will have my shoulder face towards my target. From this position, I'm going to be using my weight transfer from my back foot to my front foot and the rotation of my hips to really develop that power. And I'm going to be swinging through nice and high over my right shoulder. Last thing that I do want to mention is the tension on my grip and also my arms and shoulders. One important thing that really unlocked the power on my two-hander is when I started to really relax my total upper body, my arms, shoulders, grip, and everything. I really want my power to come from my legs and my weight transfer and my hip rotation. From here, I can really just let my arms go and flow freely as I begin and start my power from my legs.